Work on yourself. Then you bring more value to the partnership, to the marriage, to the franchise, to the corporation, to the enterprise, to the community, to the nation. Self-development, personal development. The best contribution you can make to someone else is self-development, not self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice only earns contempt. Self-development earns respect. Pity the mother who says, I'm just going to give up my life for my children. Self-sacrifice is not noble. Self-investment is noble from self-development. If I work on myself and become more valuable, think of what that'll do for our friendship. I used to use the old expression, you take care of me and I'll take care of you. I found out how shallow and short-ended that was. And I changed it to read like this, I'll take care of me for you, if you will please take care of you for me. This is part of it, the personal development, that we work harder on ourselves than we do on our job. Now we bring that to the friendship. Now we bring that to the marriage. Now we bring that to the family relationship as a father, as a mother. And we develop the strength and we develop the power. It's key. And it takes, I think, this scenario of disciplines, these abilities, to acquire those gifts and those skills, that value, so that we bring more. Now, we bring more to the next week. We bring more to the next month. We bring more to the next year. If you follow this, absorb, respond, and reflect. I said to my father, when he was about to turn 76, his 76th birthday, I said, dear father of mine, can you imagine what it's going to be like to gather up the last 75 years of your life and invest them in your 76th year? What a difference of philosophy, rather than just hanging on one more year. Gather up 75 and invest them in the next one. Gather up the last 6 years and invest it in the next year. See, that's so powerful. So consider this. 1, the ability to absorb. 2, the ability to respond. 3, the ability to reflect. Here's number 4, develop the ability to act. Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. That's the time to act. See, Mr. Rohn, I'd like to have a library like yours. See, if you feel strong about that, what you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book. Before the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now, it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act. Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. Says, right, I need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Got to take action. Otherwise, the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise, the emotion soon passes. Unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Disciplines is called how to capture the emotion and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity. Disciplines. Now, here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone. There's an interesting phrase from an ancient prophet, and it says, in due season, your harvest will come. First, harvest cannot come unless you're due. Harvest does not come to those who did not plant all those months ago called the spring. Harvest does not come to those that hope. Harvest does not come to those that wish. Harvest does not come to those who have their fingers crossed. Harvest only comes to those for which it is due. Harvest only comes to those that have planted, that did the job, that told the story, that gave the invitations, that conducted the meeting. You've got to make the expenditure up front. But if you make the expenditure up front, before the harvest is there, you must see the harvest in your mind. You must anticipate the harvest because others have already received a harvest. It gives you hope. But we plant in the dark. We plant not knowing for sure. But if you'll take the risk and talk, if you'll take the risk and go, if you'll take the risk and serve, if you'll take the risk and give an opportunity to someone, if you'll take a risk and get on an airplane, if you'll take a risk and go see the people, if you'll take a risk and conduct a meeting, I promise you, as time unfolds, your harvest will come. If you put your heart and soul into it, your harvest will come. I want that to happen for you. The lesson of the seasons. One is to hang in there when the nights are long. Hang in there when the winters are tough. Hang in there when the reverses come. Hang in there if you happen to get ill for a while. Hang in there when discouraging times come. Number two, take advantage of the spring, the people you meet. Take advantage of a chance to conduct a meeting. Take advantage of a chance to make a phone call. Take advantage of a chance to write a letter. And number three, in the summer, give life like a mother. Fight enemies like a father. Look over your organization like a shepherd would look over the flock, the sheep. Take care of it as a leader should, but also fight the enemies for people that cannot fight for themselves. You've got to look after a little baby that first cannot look after itself. You've got to have vision for a child in looking into the future when the child has no vision of his own. And just like a mother and a father who lend their vision to their children who cannot see it at first, I'm asking you to be such a mother and such a father to your own organization to help them see things they cannot at first see. Because in due season, plenty of testimonials here, plenty of proof positive that you can start all those years ago and put yourself through the paces, make the sacrifices, and see the people, and the harvest finally comes. Not only the harvest of money, but the harvest of good health, the harvest of heart and soul, the harvest of taking a lot of good people with you. Your harvest will come.
Chris mentioned ideas, and that's where this whole flow of unique ideas started for me, age 25. I had the opportunity to go to work for this extraordinary man. I worked for him for 5 years, then unfortunately he died, age 49. But the things he taught me during that 5 years transformed my economic life especially, but my personal life, my leadership chances, all of that came from that unique experience. So maybe it's true when the student is ready. When someone says, I've had it, you know, this is it. I don't want to live like this anymore. And then you begin a new search. So make this note now for the first of the notes we're going to share in my portion for today. If you start the search, the odds are excellent you will find good ideas. If you search, you will find. Finding is reserved for those that search. Ideas are not reserved for those that hope. They're not reserved for those that wish. They're not reserved for those who complain. You know, good ideas are reserved for those that search. So the first thing I want to do is congratulate all of you for being here, continuing your search, spending the money and spending the time to come and spend a few days and see if you can't, through the accumulation of hours and speakers that we have during this weekend, go home with a harvest of good ideas for your business, for your life, for your marriage, for your friendships, for your economic future, and, you know, for all of the rest. We've all heard the expression, nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. How very true. The walls came tumbling down about 15, 16 years ago in Germany, and the time had come for capitalism to finally reach those unfortunate countries that have been dominated by communism for so long. And that idea now is beginning to flourish. I've been teaching capitalism now for the last 10 years in Russia. I've made 5 trips to all the major cities It's incredible when an idea finally comes and the time is right, what can happen. So, ideas, when an idea and its time is ready, it can be incredible. But now here's the next part for your notes. Nothing so powerful as an idea that comes at the right time. And hopefully today for you and the rest of this series of good trainings, this would be a good time for you. Maybe you've got 3 numbers of the lock that needs 4 numbers. And you've already got 3 already dialed in from, the sermons you've heard and the lyrics of the songs you've listened to and personal conversations and meetings and trainings and seminars and books you've read, all of that, right? You got the 3 numbers. And just maybe this weekend could well be that 4th number for you that you've been looking for. And the lock will open and the door will open, and there could be some real new accelerated opportunity for you over the next few years of your life. So I hope that's true. From what I have to say and from Dennis and Brian and other speakers that are going to share with you, this could be a very important weekend for you. I hope it's one of those life-changing weekends where you look back and say, wow, I was never the same. And the chances are excellent if you keep going to as many things as you can get to in terms of information, ideas, seminars, lectures. Because if you go continuously and systematically, some of them will be routine, some of them may be ordinary, and then just once in a while, some may be extraordinary, and you're never the same again. And you'll look back on that experience and say, that was one of the days that turned my life around. So I hope this weekend, from what I have to share and the rest of the speakers, this is one of those extraordinary weekends for you. Here's another note to make. No one person has all the answers. No one person has all the ideas. We need to gather ideas from a variety of voices and from a variety of experience, from social to personal to political to the management of time, the conservation of resources, business, entrepreneur, career, all of that. Being a good parent, a good mother, being a good father, being a good friend, a business colleague. You got to have a whole variety of ideas. Next is a little phrase that I'd like to have you memorize. And if you memorize it, I'm sure it'll follow you for the rest of your life. And if you're ready, say, I'm ready. Here is the phrase. You can write it down as we memorize it. Here it is. From testimonials and personal experience, we have enough information to conclude. If you were composing this, I don't know what you would write after this. We have enough information to conclude that it's possible. Jot that down, that it's possible. So repeat for me, that it's possible. And the rest. To design and live an extraordinary life. I hope you will give that little phrase some consideration, and here's what's next. I hope you buy the idea. And what I want this weekend to be for you is the gathering of more ways and means to design and live for you an extraordinary life. I don't know how far you want to go. Here's the first essence of life, and that is self-preservation. To produce enough to take care of yourself. The instructions given right to the couple that left the Garden of Eden. One was to multiply. It's a lonely place with only 2 people. But here were the next instructions, to be fruitful. How fruitful, how productive should one be? And here's number 1, to produce enough to survive. To produce enough to take care of yourself. And self-care is important. If you're flying on an airplane, the flight attendant says if for some reason we run out of oxygen, these oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling. And if you have children with you, quickly take care of them, then take care of yourself. They say what? Put your mask on first. Put your mask on first. See to your survival first. Then you'll be more capable of taking care of the survival of your children. Isn't that interesting? My father had an interesting saying. He said, son, right after me, you come first. I was in business with Bob Cummings, the old movie star. We were in the health and nutrition business together back in the 60s, 61, 2, 3. Bob had an interesting saying. Here's what he said, I'll take care of me for you. Will you please take care of you for me? So the first challenge in life is to take care of yourself. It is to survive. So, to produce enough to survive, to take care of yourself. But now what's next? Well, all alone, it's a lonely life. So let's say the man now chooses a partner. Now he must figure out how to produce enough for himself and his spouse, his wife, his partner. Someone says, well, why do that? Why not just take care of yourself? And the answer is, it's a very small life. It's a very limited life. We wouldn't call it flourishing. We wouldn't call it abundant. Just taking care of yourself. That is the first rule, but that's only the beginning. So the man gets married. Now he must produce enough for himself and for his wife. And here's the key phrase to make a note of: to live the higher life. A life of togetherness. The storyteller says, it seems even God didn't want to be alone. He created all of these angels. So, to join with someone now, you must produce enough for yourself, for your partner. Now, is that it? And the answer is no. How about children? Let us have children. That's a unique experience. So now if the man has a wife and now he has children, here's the challenge: to produce enough for himself and his family. Now someone says, well, why take on all of that? Why not just take care of yourself? You could, yes, but you couldn't live this more extraordinary life without taking on the responsibility of having a partner, having some children, and live that kind of extraordinary life. So I think everybody would agree. Now, is that the end of it? No. Here's the next challenge: to produce more than you need for yourself and for your family. Someone says, well, now why start being ridiculous here? Yes, produce enough for yourself. Well, yes, if you want to get married, produce enough for yourself and for your spouse. Now, with children, produce enough for your family, but why do more than that? And jot down the answer: to live a more extraordinary life. So now the man produces more than he needs for himself and for his children, so that he can be a person of benevolence, so that he can give and so that he can share. That's the more abundant, that's the more extraordinary life. To produce more than you need for yourself and for your children. Is that it? Let's take it a couple of more steps. How about producing much more than you need for yourself and for your family? Someone says, well, now you're off the scale. I mean, why work that hard? Why go that far? Why produce that much? Some would say, just take care of yourself. Some would say, just, get a partner and that's it, and then children and that's it. And be a bit benevolent and that's it. But why not go this next step and produce much more than you need for yourself and for your children? And when someone says, why do that? All of us know the answer, right? Why not? If you've got the talent and the skill and the opportunity, Why not put all of that together and see if you couldn't produce much more than you need for yourself and for your family? Let's say you earned $10 million this year, and you and your family only need $3 million, which would probably cover most families, right? Some families are more expensive than others, as I discovered. But let's say 3 million would, cover a big, high percentage. So now if you and your family only needed 3 million for the year, now you have 7 million to give. And someone says what? Why do that? And the obvious answer is what? Why not? If you've got the talent and the skill and the time and the opportunity and the occasion and all this stuff comes together, why not? Let's go one more. How about producing far more than you need for yourself and for your family? And live the far more life. We've heard the story of Andrew Carnegie, right? Andrew Carnegie said this. He built the big steel industry back in the 20s here in America. Here was Andrew Carnegie's goal. I'm going to spend the first half of my life earning money. I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. Isn't that extraordinary? Wouldn't you call that an extraordinary life? And the answer is yes. He got so excited by that goal that the first half of his life, he earned $400 million, which back then was a lot of money. I mean, now, right, it doesn't seem to be that much, but, maybe back then it would total $40 billion, like Bill Gates. So $40 billion he earned the first half of his life. Guess what he did with the last half of his life? He gave it all away. And the big question is, why do that? And the answer is, why not? If you've got the opportunity to live, design and live an extraordinary life, why not do that? Now make these notes. What I hope you find here this weekend. Ideas plus inspiration. That's the mixture that really turns things on